Admiral Jake Morrison stood at the window of Luna Station, watching the Earth turn slowly in the darkness of space. The blue and green planet looked peaceful from here, but Jake knew the truth. Earth was not as helpless as the galaxy believed. 50 years ago, humans had joined the Galactic Council. They came with old ships and simple weapons. The other alien races looked at them and saw nothing special. Just another weak species that needed protection. The aliens were wrong, but humans. Let them think this way. Jake turned away from the window and walked to his desk. 3 messages waited for him. All bad news. The Korthak Empire had attacked another human cargo ship. The crew was missing. Probably slaves now, if they were still alive. The Korthak were big, strong aliens with thick skin and sharp teeth. They loved war and took what they wanted. For years, they had been testing human ships, taking cargo, capturing crews. The Galactic Council did nothing. They said it was just business between species. Captain Lisa Brooks entered Jake's office without knocking. She looked angry. Her brown hair was messy, and her uniform had dirt on it. She had just returned from patrol duty. "Another ship gone," Lisa said. She threw her report on Jake's desk. "The cargo vessel Happy Days. 15 crew members. The Korthak hit them near the Jupiter shipping lanes." Jake picked up the report and read it quickly. The same story as always. Human ships attacked, crews taken, no help from other species. "What did the Viridian ships do?" Jake asked. The Viridians were smart aliens with blue skin and big heads. They had the best technology in the galaxy, but they never helped humans. "They watched," Lisa said. 3 Viridian warships saw the whole thing. They did nothing. Said it was not their problem. Jake was not surprised. The Viridians thought humans were useful for trade and labor, but not worth protecting. The Zephyrians were even worse. They were old aliens who had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They treated humans like pets. Lisa sat down in the chair across from Jake's desk. "How long do we keep pretending?" she asked. "Our people are dying out there. We could stop this in one day if we showed them what we really have." Jake understood her anger. For 50 years, humans had acted weak on purpose. Their ships looked old and slow. Their weapons seemed simple. But it was all a lie. A very big lie. Deep underground on Earth, in secret bases that no alien knew about, humans had built weapons that could destroy worlds. They had ships faster than anything the galaxy had ever seen. They had computers that could think better than any alien mind. The plan was simple. Let the other species think humans were weak, while Earth scientists studied alien technology. Learn everything. Build better weapons. Wait for the right time. But Jake wondered if they had waited too long. Every day, more humans died while the galaxy watched and did nothing. His desk computer made a soft sound. A new message had arrived. Jake opened it and felt his blood turn cold. "What is it?" Lisa asked. Jake read the message again to make sure he understood it correctly. "General Palmer wants to see me. Right now. Emergency meeting." General Ryan Palmer ran Project Nightfall. It was Earth's biggest secret. Only a few hundred people knew about it. Palmer was the man who decided when humanity would stop pretending to be weak. Jake and Lisa took a shuttle down to Earth. They landed at a military base in Colorado that looked normal from the outside. But deep underground, it was the most advanced military center in the galaxy. General Palmer was waiting for them in the main briefing room. He was a tall man with gray hair and serious eyes. With him was Commander Alex Hughes, the head of Earth's intelligence service. "Sit down," Palmer said. His voice was calm, but Jake could see worry in his face. Alex turned on a big screen that showed a map of human space. Red dots marked the locations of recent attacks. There were too many red dots. The situation is getting worse, Alex said. Korthak attacks have increased by 300% in the last month. They are not just taking cargo anymore. They are testing our defenses, learning our patrol routes, getting ready for something big. Palmer pressed a button and the screen changed. Now it showed pictures of Korthak ships gathering near the edge of human space. Hundreds of them. Intelligence says they are planning a full invasion, Palmer continued. 3 human colonies are the targets: New Denver, Port Liberty, and Haven Station. Over 2 million people live in those colonies. Lisa leaned forward in her chair. When? Soon, Alex answered. Maybe days, maybe weeks. But soon. Jake felt sick. 2 million people. Families, children, workers who had gone to the colonies to build new lives. They had no idea what was coming. What about the Galactic Council? Jake asked, though he already knew the answer. Palmer's face got hard. They will do nothing. The Korthak have been talking to them, making deals. The council has decided that human space is too small and too weak to matter. They think it is better to let the Korthak have what they want than fight a war. The room was quiet for a long moment. Jake looked at the pictures of Korthak warships and thought about all the humans who would die. Men, women, children. All. Because the galaxy thought Earth was too weak to protect its own people. Sir, Jake said slowly, maybe it is time to stop pretending. Palmer nodded. That is exactly what I was thinking. The president is meeting with the cabinet tonight. They will decide if Operation Avalanche gets the green light. Operation Avalanche. Jake had heard the name, but never knew what it meant. Only Palmer and a few others knew the full plan. If they say yes, Palmer continued, everything changes. The galaxy will learn that humans are not the weak species they thought we were. There will be no going back. Jake thought about the human crews taken by the Korthak. He thought about the colonies full of innocent people. He thought about 50 years of being treated like pets by aliens who saw humans as nothing special. Good, Jake said. It is time they learned the truth about Earth. The attack began at 3 in the morning, colony time. Captain Danny Foster was drinking coffee in his quarters when the alarm started screaming. He ran to the bridge of his ship, the EDS Guardian, and saw hell breaking loose outside. New Denver. Colony was burning. The Korthak had come with 60 warships, more than anyone expected. They appeared out of nowhere, their ships dropping out of hyperspace like falling stars. The colony's small defense force was completely outnumbered. Captain, we have incoming missiles, his weapons officer shouted. 20 seconds to impact. Danny gripped his chair as the Guardian shook from the explosions. The ship's old shields flickered and sparked. One more hit like that, and they would be dead. All ships, fall back to the evacuation zone, Danny ordered. Into his radio, protect the transport ships. Get our people out of here. Through the bridge windows, Danny could see the colony below. Fires were spreading across the city. Buildings collapsed as Korthak plasma bombs fell like deadly rain. People were running in the streets, trying to reach the evacuation ships. The Korthak ships were huge and black, covered in spikes and weapon ports. They moved through space like hungry sharks, destroying everything they found. Danny had fought them before, but never this many at once. Sir, the transport ship full. Moon is taking heavy fire, his navigator reported. They have 3,000 civilians on board. Danny did not think twice. Take us in. Cover that transport. The Guardian flew straight into the Korthak attack formation. Danny's ship was old and slow compared to the alien warships, but he used every trick he knew. The Guardian twisted and turned, firing its simple weapons at the enemy ships while the transport escaped. Captain, our engines are failing, the engineer called out. Hull breach on deck 4. We cannot take much more of this. Danny looked at the tactical display. The transport ship was almost safe, but the Guardian was dying. Smoke filled the bridge and sparks flew from broken control panels. "Abandon ship," Danny ordered. "All hands to the escape pods." The crew moved quickly. They had trained for this moment, but Danny hoped it would never come. As the last escape pod launched, Danny took one final look at New Denver. The colony was completely destroyed. Millions of people had lived there just hours ago. Now it was nothing but ruins and fire. 3 days later, the same thing happened to Port Liberty. The Cortec came with even more ships this time. The colony fell in 6 hours. Captain Susan Price managed to save some of the population, but most of the people were captured or killed. Haven Station lasted a little longer. The mining station had better defenses, and the workers fought hard. But it did not matter. The Cortec had too many ships and too many weapons. After 2 days of fighting, Haven Station was gone. On Earth, President Helen Carter watched the news reports with growing anger. The video showed Cortec soldiers walking through the destroyed colonies, rounding up human survivors. The aliens were taking people as slaves, just like they had done to other weak species. 3 colonies, President Carter said to her advisors. 2 million people dead or captured. And the galaxy does nothing. General Palmer sat across from her in the White House Situation Room. His face was grim. The Galactic Council met yesterday. They voted to recognize Cortec territorial claims over the attacked colonies. They say it is a legal expansion of a stronger species. President Carter felt sick. Legal expansion. They call genocide legal expansion. The Viridians and Zephyrians both voted yes, Palmer continued. They say humans should have built better defenses if we wanted to keep our colonies. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the head of weapons research, spoke up from her seat at the table. Madam President, we have the power to stop this. The Prometheus Division has been ready for years. We could end this war in days. President Carter knew about the Prometheus Division. She had visited the secret labs deep under the Rocky Mountains. She had seen weapons that could destroy entire fleets. Ships that could travel faster than light. Computers that could think like humans, but never get tired or make mistakes. For 50 years, Earth had hidden its true power. While the galaxy thought humans were weak, Earth scientists had been building the most advanced military in history. They had studied every piece of alien technology they could find. They had made it better, stronger, more deadly. If we use those weapons, President Carter said slowly, there is no going back. The galaxy will know we have been lying for 50 years. General Palmer nodded. That is correct. But Madam President, they are killing our people. They are taking our children as slaves. How long do we let this continue? Ambassador Kate Williams had just returned from the Galactic Council. She looked tired and angry. I tried one more time to get help. The council leader told me that humans should learn their place in the galaxy. He said we were lucky they let us keep Earth. The room was quiet. President Carter thought about the videos from the colonies. Children crying for their parents. Families torn apart. People dragged away in chains while the galaxy watched and did nothing. The Cortec are planning more attacks, General Palmer said. Intelligence reports show they are gathering ships near the Mars shipping routes. They think we are broken. They think we will surrender. Dr. Rodriguez opened her tablet and showed the president a list of weapons and ships. We have 8,000 battle cruisers hidden in asteroid fields and behind moons. We have quantum weapons that can cut through any shield. We have artificial intelligence that can fight better than any organic brain. President Carter looked at each person in the room. These were good people who had kept Earth's biggest secret for their entire careers. They had watched humans die while hiding weapons that could save them. The Cortec want to see if we will fight back, President Carter said. The galaxy thinks we are too weak to defend ourselves. They're about to learn how wrong they are. She stood up and walked to the window. Outside, she could see the lights of Washington. Normal people living normal lives, not knowing that their president was about to change everything. General Palmer, activate Operation Avalanche. Dr. Rodriguez, prepare the Prometheus fleet. Ambassador Williams, send a message to the Galactic Council. Tell them we tried to be peaceful. Tell them we tried to be friends. Tell them they chose to make us their enemy. President Carter turned back to face her advisors. The Korthik wanted a war. The galaxy wanted to watch us die. Now they will all learn what happens when you attack Earth. The Korthik fleet surrounded Redemption Colony like a pack of wolves. Admiral Vorthik Prime stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Bone Crusher, and smiled. His sharp teeth showed as he looked at the human colony below. 50 ships, he said to his officers. The humans have sent 50 ships to fight us. They never learn. Vorthik had destroyed 3 human colonies already. Each time, the humans sent their old, slow ships to fight. Each time, the Korthik won easily. Today would be no different. Sir, the human fleet is approaching, his weapons officer reported. They are coming straight at us, Vorthik laughed. Brave but stupid, just like always. Prepare to destroy them. But something was wrong. These human ships looked different. They were sleek and silver, not the boxy gray ships the Korthik had fought before. They moved through space like dancers, smooth and fast. What are those ships? Vorthik demanded. Those are not the vessels from our intelligence reports. Before anyone could answer, the human ships opened fire. Beams of pure energy, brighter than stars, cut through space. The first Korthik ship exploded instantly, then the second. Then, the third. Shields up, Vorthik screamed. Return fire. The Korthik shields activated, but the human weapons went right through them. The energy beams passed through the shields like they were not there at all. One by one, Korthik ships exploded in balls of flame. Captain Lisa Brooks sat in the command chair of the EDS Retribution, watching her tactical display. The Korthik fleet was falling apart. Their ships were exploding so fast that her weapons officer could barely keep track. Quantum lances are working perfectly, the weapons officer reported. Enemy shields are useless against our weapons, Lisa nodded. The quantum lances were Dr. Rodriguez's greatest invention. They fired energy that existed in a different dimension, passing through normal matter and shields. Nothing in the galaxy could stop them. Sir, a Korthik ship is trying to ram us, the navigator said. Lisa watched the enemy ship approach. It was badly damaged, but still dangerous. Activate regenerative armor. The Korthik ship hit the Retribution's hull with tremendous force. But instead of breaking, the human ship's armor began to repair itself. The metal flowed like liquid, filling the damage and making the hull stronger than before. On the Bone Crusher, Vorthik watched in horror as his fleet died around him. In 12 minutes, 49 Korthak ships have been destroyed. Only his flagship remained. How is this possible? He whispered. The humans are weak. They have no real weapons. Sir, incoming message from the human fleet, his communications officer said. Put it on screen. Captain Brooks' face appeared on the main display. She looked calm and professional, not at all like the desperate human commanders Vorthik had fought before. Admiral Vorthik Prime, Lisa said. This is Captain Brooks of the Earth Defense Force. You are ordered to surrender immediately. Vorthik's face turned red with rage. Never! The Korthik do not surrender to inferior species. Lisa's expression did not change. Then you will join your fleet. The communication ended. A moment later, the Bone Crusher exploded in a flash of white light. Across the galaxy, similar battles were happening. Hidden human bases came to life, revealing massive weapons and defense systems. The mining stations on asteroids opened up to show battleship construction yards. The communication satellites turned out to be automated defense platforms. General Palmer stood in the command center deep under Colorado, watching reports come in from around human space. Every screen showed the same thing: Korthek fleets being destroyed by weapons they had never seen before. Sentinel network is fully active, Commander Hughes reported. All enemy ships in human space are being engaged. The Sentinel network was a system of robot defense platforms that had been disguised as simple satellites for 50 years. Now, they were hunting Korthek ships with deadly efficiency. Each platform was controlled by an artificial intelligence that could think faster than any organic brain. "Sir, we have a problem," another officer said. "The Viridian Collective is sending ships toward our territory. They say they want to help negotiate a peace treaty." Palmer smiled coldly. "Tell them to stay away. We are not interested in negotiating with people who watched our colonies burn." Meanwhile, on the Galactic Council station, emergency meetings were being held every hour. The council members were alien leaders from across the galaxy, and they were all terrified. "How did we not know about this?" demanded Councilor Thizes, a tall blue Viridian with a large head. "Our intelligence said the humans had no advanced technology." Councilor Vex, an ancient Zephyrian with purple skin, shook his head slowly. "They deceived us. For 50 years, they showed us fake ships and fake weapons. While we thought they were weak, they were building the most powerful fleet in the galaxy." The main screen showed video from the battle at Redemption. The council members watched in silence as human ships destroyed an entire Korthek fleet in minutes. The weapons were beyond anything they had ever seen. "Those energy beams," Dices said quietly. "They go through our best shields like they are not there. And their ships repair themselves," Vex added. "Even our most advanced technology cannot do that." Ambassador Kate Williams entered the council chamber. She walked slowly to the center of the room, where a human representative had never been allowed to stand before. But today, the council members did not try to stop her. "Honorable councilors," Kate said, her voice echoing in the large chamber. "I have a message from the President of Earth." The room was completely silent. Every alien in the chamber watched Kate with new fear and respect. For 50 years, humanity sought friendship with the galactic community. We offered trade, knowledge, and cooperation. We asked only to be treated as equals. Instead, you saw us as servants and slaves. Kate paused, looking at each council member. "When the Korthek attacked our colonies, we begged for help. You voted to let them keep our territory. You called the murder of our people a legal expansion." Councilor Thizes tried to speak. "Ambassador Williams, perhaps we can discuss." "The time for discussion is over," Kate interrupted. "You chose to stand aside while our people died. You chose to make us your enemy. Now you will face the consequences of that choice." Kate turned and walked toward the door. Before leaving, she looked back at the council one final time. "Humanity remembers every vote against us. Every time you turned away from our suffering. Every species that profited from our pain. We have been keeping records for 50 years. The galaxy is about to learn what happens when you mistake our kindness for weakness." As Kate left the chamber, the council members sat in stunned silence. Outside the station, they could see human warships appearing out of nowhere, their sleek hulls gleaming in the starlight. The ships that should not exist. The weapons that should not be possible. The galaxy was about to discover that Earth had been hiding more than just advanced technology. They had been hiding the fact that humans, when pushed too far, could become the most dangerous species in the universe. The Viridian peace ship arrived at Earth 2 weeks after the Korthek fleet was destroyed. Captain Zell, the blue-skinned Viridian commander, expected to meet with desperate humans who would accept any deal to end the war. Instead, Admiral Morrison met him at Luna Station with a fleet of 100 human warships floating nearby. The ships were nothing like what Viridians had seen before. They looked like silver daggers that could cut through space itself. "We come to offer peace," Captain Zell said as he stepped off his shuttle. His large head moved nervously as he looked at the human weapons pointed at his ship. "Peace?" Morrison laughed. "Where was your peace when our colonies burned? Where was your peace when our people were taken as slaves?" Zell's blue skin turned pale. That was a Korthic matter. The Viridian Collective was not involved. "You were involved the moment you voted to let them keep our territory," Morrison replied. "You wanted to be neutral? Fine. Stay neutral while we finish what they started." Back on Earth, President Carter signed the order that changed everything. Operation Judgment would target not just the Korthic, but every species that had supported them or ignored human suffering. "Are you sure about this?" General Palmer asked. "Once we attack the Zephyrian trade stations, there will be no going back." President Carter looked at the reports on her desk. Lists of every vote against human interests. Every species that had profited from the slave trade. Every government that had turned away when humans asked for help. "They made their choice 50 years ago," she said. "Now they live with the results." Captain Sarah Blake led the assault on the Korthic homeworld. Her task force of 50 ships approached the planet's orbital defenses. The Korthic had built a ring of battle stations around their world. For 1,000 years, no enemy had ever broken through those defenses. "Incoming missiles," her weapons officer reported. "The defense stations are firing everything they have." Sarah watched the tactical display as hundreds of missiles flew toward her ships. "Activate phase shields." The missiles passed right through the human ships without exploding. The Korthic weapons were designed to hit solid matter, but the human ships had shifted partially into another dimension. The missiles could not find anything to hit. "Return fire," Sarah ordered. "Quantum torpedoes, full spread." The human weapons struck the Korthic battle stations and tore them apart from the inside. The stations had been built to stop normal weapons, but quantum torpedoes existed in multiple dimensions at once. There was no defense against them. In 3 hours, the orbital defenses were gone. The Korthic homeworld lay helpless below. "Sir, we are getting surrender signals from the planet," the communications officer said. Sarah looked at the world below. Billions of Korthic lived there. Warriors who had spent centuries conquering weaker species. Now, they were begging for mercy. "Tell them to free every human slave," Sarah said. "Every single one. If even one human dies, we will turn their planet into glass." Meanwhile, Dr. Rodriguez was preparing her greatest creation. Deep in a secret base beyond Pluto, the first Titan-class vessel was ready for its mission. The ship was the size of a small moon, filled with technology that could reshape entire star systems. "The Zephyrians are threatening to intervene, Commander," Hughes reported. "They say they will not allow humans to upset the galactic balance." Dr. Rodriguez smiled. "Perfect. Time to show them what balance really means." The Zephyrian fleet was the oldest and most respected military force in the galaxy. Their ships had ruled space for thousands of years. Admiral Keth commanded 200 warships, the largest fleet the Zephyrians had assembled in centuries. "The humans cannot stand against the might of the Dominion," Admiral Keth declared to his officers. "We will restore order to the galaxy." Then the Titan appeared. It came out of hyperspace like a mountain made of metal and light. The Zephyrian sensors could barely measure its size. It was larger than some asteroids, covered in weapons that no one could identify. "What is that thing?" Admiral Keth whispered. His answer came in the form of a gravity beam that grabbed his entire fleet. The 200 Zephyrian warships, each one a masterpiece of ancient technology, were pulled toward the Titan like leaves in a storm. But the Titan did not destroy them. Instead, it opened a portal in space and dropped the entire Zephyrian fleet at the edge of a black hole. The ships were trapped in the gravity well, unable to escape, but not close enough to be destroyed. "This is Admiral Keth to the human vessel," came the desperate radio message. "We surrender! We surrender!" Dr. Rodriguez's voice came back over the radio, calm and professional. "Admiral Keth, your fleet will remain here until you agree to our terms. You wanted to restore galactic order? This is the new order. On Earth." President Carter addressed the world and the galaxy. Every species watched as she spoke from the White House. "For 50 years we asked to be treated as equals. You laughed at us. We asked for help when our people were attacked. You ignored. We begged for justice when our colonies were destroyed. You called it legal expansion." The camera showed President Carter's face, calm but determined. Behind her, through the window, people could see human warships in the sky above Washington. "You taught us that in this galaxy, only the strong survive. You taught us that peace is weakness. You taught us that mercy is foolishness. Thank you for the lesson." She paused, letting her words sink in across the galaxy. "Today begins the age of human justice. Every species that stood by while we suffered will answer for their crimes. Every government that profited from our pain will pay the price. Every alien who thought humans were weak will learn the truth." The broadcast ended, but the message was clear. The galaxy had created an enemy more dangerous than they had ever imagined. General Palmer coordinated the liberation missions across known space. Human battle groups moved through the galaxy like avenging angels, freeing slaves and destroying the infrastructure of oppression. The Korthic slave markets were burned to the ground. The Viridian weapons factories that had supplied the slave. Traders were reduced to scrap metal. The Zephyrian government buildings that had voted to allow human genocide were turned into craters. But the humans did not just destroy, they rebuilt. Freed slaves were given new homes on liberated worlds. Former enemies who surrendered and agreed to the new rules were allowed to keep their governments. Species that had secretly helped humans during the dark years were rewarded with technology and protection. The galaxy learned that human justice was not just about punishment. It was about making sure that what happened to humanity would never happen to anyone else. 6 months after the war began, the Korthic Emperor himself came to Earth to surrender. The proud warrior who had conquered dozens of worlds knelt before President Carter in the White House. "Please," he begged, "no more. We will free every slave. We will pay any price. Just stop the attacks." President Carter looked down at the alien who had ordered the death of millions of humans. "The price is simple. You will never again attack a peaceful species. You will never again take slaves. You will spend the rest of your life making up for the evil you have done." The Emperor nodded desperately. "Yes, anything. We agree to anything." "Good," President Carter said. "Because this is not just about you anymore. This is about making sure the galaxy never forgets what happens when you push humans too far." Outside the White House, human ships patrolled the skies. Across the galaxy, the old order was crumbling. A new age was beginning, and humanity would make sure it was better than what came before. 1 year after the war ended, Admiral Morrison stood on the bridge of the ED's Unity, watching the construction of New Geneva Station. The massive space station would become the headquarters of the new Galactic Federation. It was being built by workers from 50 different species, all working together. The old Galactic Council was gone. The corrupt organization that had allowed genocide and slavery had been dissolved 6 months ago. In its place, humanity had created something better, something fair. "Sir," The Korthak delegation has arrived, his communications officer reported. They are requesting permission to dock. Morrison nodded. Grant them permission. Send them to Conference Room 7. The Korthak delegation was led by General Borth, a young Korthak officer who had never owned slaves or attacked innocent people. The old Korthak leaders were either dead or in prison. The new generation was learning to live without war and conquest. Admiral Morrison, General Borth said as he entered the conference room. His voice was respectful, almost humble. My people wish to join the new Federation. We have completed all the requirements. Morrison looked at the reports on his tablet. The Korthak had freed every slave they had ever taken. They had destroyed their slave markets and weapons factories. They had paid compensation to every family they had hurt. Most importantly, they had agreed to the new Galactic Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Every species that wanted to join the Federation had to sign the charter. It made slavery illegal throughout the galaxy. It protected weak species from strong ones. It promised that what happened to humanity would never happen again. Your application has been approved, Morrison said. Welcome to the Federation. General Borth looked surprised. He had expected the humans to hate his people forever. Thank you, Admiral. We will not disappoint you. Do not disappoint yourselves, Morrison replied. This is your chance to be better than what you were. Across the galaxy, similar scenes were playing out. Species that had once been enemies were learning to work together. The Viridians were sharing their advanced technology with former slave worlds, helping them rebuild. The Zephyrians were using their ancient knowledge to teach younger species about diplomacy and peace. Not all species chose to join the Federation. Some preferred to remain independent, and humanity respected that choice. But they had to follow the basic rules. No slavery, no genocide, no attacking peaceful worlds. Human patrol fleets made sure these rules were followed. Captain Lisa Brooks, now Admiral Brooks, commanded the new peacekeeping force. Her ships were crewed by volunteers from dozens of species, including former enemies who had proven themselves worthy of trust. Admiral, we have a situation in the Outer Rim, her second-in-command reported. Commander Vex was a young Zephyrian who had joined a peacekeeping force to make up for his species' past mistakes. What kind of situation? Brooks asked. A group of Korthak pirates is attacking merchant ships near the Centauri trade routes. They are not part of the new Korthak government. Probably remnants from the old empire. Brooks sighed. There were always a few who refused to accept the new way of things. Pirates, slave traders, and warlords who missed the old days of chaos and suffering. Take a squadron and deal with it, Brooks ordered. Show them what happens to people who break the Federation's laws. The pirates were destroyed within hours. The peacekeeping force did not negotiate with slavers or murderers. The galaxy had learned that humanity's mercy had limits. Back on Earth, Dr. Rodriguez was working on her newest project. The Memorial Research Institute was dedicated to making sure the galaxy never forgot the lessons of the war. Scientists from every species worked together, developing new technologies for peace instead of war. How is the new medical scanner coming along? Dr. Rodriguez asked her assistant, a brilliant Viridian scientist named Thyra. Very well, Thyra replied. It can detect diseases that we never knew existed. This technology could save millions of lives across the galaxy. Dr. Rodriguez smiled. This was what she had always wanted to do with her knowledge. Not build weapons of war, but tools of healing and progress. The scanner was based on quantum technology that had been developed for military use. Now it was being used to help people instead of hurt them. Many of humanity's war technologies were being converted for peaceful purposes. General Palmer, now retired, visited the memorial park that had been built on the site of New Denver Colony. Thousands of people came here every day to remember the victims of the Korthak attacks. But the memorial was not just about remembering the dead. It was about celebrating the living. Children from a dozen different species played together in the park. Korthik youngsters played games with human kids. Viridian teenagers shared their homework with Zephyrian classmates. This was the future that the war had made possible. "Grandfather Palmer!" a young voice called out. The general turned to see his granddaughter running toward him. Emma was 8 years old and had never known a galaxy where humans were considered weak. To her, the idea that aliens had once treated humans as slaves seemed as impossible as dragons or magic. "Are you here to see the memory wall?" Emma asked. Palmer nodded. The memory wall listed the names of every human who had died in the attacks. Millions of names carved in black stone, each one representing a life cut short by hatred and greed. "I read about the old days in school," Emma said. "Why did the aliens think humans were weak?" Palmer knelt down to look his granddaughter in the eye. "Because we let them think that. We chose to appear weak so we could learn about them. It was a dangerous plan, but it worked." "Will we ever have to fight like that again?" Emma asked. Palmer looked around the park at all the different species living together in peace. "I hope not. But if we do, the galaxy will remember what happened. The last time someone tried to hurt innocent people." President Carter, now in her second term, gave her annual address to the Federation. Representatives from over 100 species listened as she spoke from the steps of the Capitol building. 5 years ago, humanity was considered the weakest species in the galaxy. We were mocked, ignored, and attacked. Our people were murdered and enslaved while the galaxy watched and did nothing. The crowd was silent. Everyone remembered those dark days. Today, children of former enemy species play together in our parks. Former slave worlds are now prosperous Federation members. Technologies that were once used for war now heal the sick and feed the hungry. President Carter paused, looking out at the diverse crowd of beings who had once been humanity's enemies. "We did not seek this power, but we will not abuse it as others did before us. We held back our strength, hoping for peace, but when forced to war, we fought without mercy. Let this be a lesson that echoes through the stars. Humanity protects the innocent, and we have very long memories." The crowd erupted in applause, not just from humans, but from aliens who had learned to respect and trust their former enemies. High above Earth, Admiral Morrison watched the ceremony from the bridge of his flagship. Around him, the largest fleet in galactic history floated in perfect formation. Ships from dozens of worlds, crewed by beings who had once been at war, now worked together to protect the peace. The Memorial Fleet, as it was known, served as both protector and reminder. It defended the weak and warned the strong that the galaxy had changed forever. Morrison thought about the long journey that had brought them here. 50 years of deception, followed by months of devastating war, and now years of careful rebuilding. Humanity had gambled everything on the hope that they could create something better than what existed before. Looking down at the peaceful Earth below, Morrison knew they had won that gamble. The galaxy would never again mistake humanity's kindness for weakness. And more importantly, no species would ever again have to endure what humanity had suffered in those dark days before the war. Peace had been achieved, but it was a peace enforced by strength and maintained by justice. The human way,